How's it going, everybody? Max here. Before this episode starts, just wanted to give a little bit of context and some explanation, talk about some changes that are coming to the show. It's been a minute since we put some episodes out. Uh, I'll own that one. Sorry, Brian. I'm the one that edits all of these, and it's been a little busy, haven't really had time. Plus, we wanted to kind of change the feel of the show. We had a little bit of an identity crisis, so it's taken some time. This episode was actually recorded quite a few months back, and we have a couple more in the pipeline ready to go that we are going to drop all in rapid succession. So good for you. You get some more content. We thought it'd still be important to bring these to you as we did like them. But moving forward, we will soon be unveiling the official season 2 that we're calling it of the Frames and Flames podcast. So we wanted to up the quality. We wanted to change the format a little bit and basically just bring a better product to you, the viewer. So with that being said, stand by with us for a little bit as we clear out the pipeline, basically, get things ready to go. We have a bunch of new, exciting stuff coming soon for the show. We're really excited about it, both Brian and myself. We cannot wait to bring that to you. So sit back, enjoy this episode. We'll see you in season 2.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Frames and Flames podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Max. Before we start, we just want to let you know that the topics and content we discuss are mature in nature and may not be suitable for all audiences.
The Frames and Flames podcast is not affiliated with any government organization or emergency services agency, and the views and opinions expressed on this show by the hosts or by our guests do not reflect any agency. Enjoy. What's up, ladies and germs? This is the Frames and Flames podcast. My name is Brian. I am the creative director and founder of 760 Fire Photography.
I am Max from 1076 Media.
Welcome to the show. First off, just a quick little bit of housekeeping. It's not a professional podcast. You might hear us sneeze. You're going to hear us swear. You're going to hear us laugh. You're going to hear us make dumb jokes. Please bear with us. You will hear profane language. I'm going to stress this again and again and again. You will hear profane language, especially from me. Please do not take offense. It's not directed at you. It's mostly directed at Max.
It goes everywhere.
With that, I'm going to turn it over to Max. He'll talk about kind of what the episode's about. We don't have any news stories for you guys today like we usually do, but Max can talk about what the episode's about and kind of lead us in. Max, take it away.
Today, as the title says, hopefully you guys read the title, we're talking about safety, specifically safety for photographers when we're on scenes, because it's a little bit weird what we do. So exciting. Air horns, everybody. Air horns. We're talking about safety, the super exciting topic about safety. Before we get into it, though, it's not a news story, but I do want to give a shout out to an absolute legend from Boise Fire, who recently, at the time of us recording this podcast, who knows when it goes out because we have this new thing and it might be a minute, but at the time of us recording, it was super close to the retirement of Captain Rich Furno. So 27 years with Boise Fire, absolute legend. He's an amazing captain, an amazing boss on the fire ground. So shout out to you, sir. Hope you have a wonderful, happy, and long retirement. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the exciting world of not getting hurt, shall we?
I'm just gonna say cheers to you, Captain Furno. I know it's a Sprite, not a beer. I wish it was beer, but it's too early in the day for that.
Yeah.
But congratulations on 27 years. Enjoy your retirement. I hope you don't miss Jobtown too much.
We did, I say we because I was actually his last day in service. I ran a Smells and Bells with him. And then his last tour before that, the previous tour, was when we had a pretty good structure fire. So, and I think he got his hands dirty on that one. So
Jobtown.
Yeah, good old Jobtown. Didn't catch a good one on his last day like we were hoping, but is what it is. Cheers to you. Anyway, safety. Where do we start?
Well, rule number 1, don't fucking die.
Don't get hurt. Thanks for listening to the Frames and Flames podcast, everybody.
Safety, don't fucking die.
Safety, don't die. Yeah, Goober Patrol. Don't be a goober.
So safety, that's a big proponent for us, for firefighters. Obviously, we don't have any firefighters on the show right now, but I am an EMT. I've worked in the state of California and the state of Idaho. And my biggest thing on all incidents, whether you're a first responder, everybody who's worked in the industry as a first responder knows, safety is a big priority for us. Protect your partner, protect your crew, protect yourself. Now, as photographers, we have a little bit of a different mantra. People want to get the shot. You want to get the glory shot. You want to get the money shot, whether you're a stringer, you're a photographer,
whatever it is.
Joe Schmo with a cell phone. And the fact of the matter is, safety should be your number one priority. Safety and staying out of the way. Because at the end of the day, you are the least important person on that incident. People in other episodes and people who know Max and I have heard us talk about that ad nauseum.
I'm pretty sure I say it at least once an episode that anytime we're on a scene, we don't have to be there. We don't need to be there. So we shouldn't be in the way.
Yeah. And a good friend of mine, Mike Fila, at 35.mike 35.mike on Instagram, is a fantastic photographer. You guys should go give him a follow. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Love Mike.
Shout out if you guys don't know Mike, but I feel like everybody in this world, at least Mike on the photography side, knows dude.
Mike. He taught me a lot of what I know, and his biggest piece of advice to me is if you cannot do this safely, please don't do it, because it gives everybody else a bad name, puts yourself at risk, puts fire crews at risk, especially when it comes to working fire incidents. Mm-hmm. Don't do anything stupid. Don't stand in front of engines. Don't stand over moving lines. Don't stand in front of nozzles. Don't get closer than you should.
Yeah.
Always check in with incident command. Be like, hey, I'm here. Just letting you know. If I'm in the way, please tell me. They probably won't even acknowledge you.
No.
Because they're busy.
But I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, like my experience starting out was a lot of times we would have PD on a perimeter anyway for a fire, which the other thing is I'm in Idaho. This isn't LA where there's specific press protection. So when I'm shooting a scene, I am just like any other civilian, unless I am like physically working with a department that day and I'm on a ride along or something. 9 times out of 10, I am just a regular civilian. So if PD happens to have a perimeter set up, that's as far as I'm going to go, unless I get called in by, IC or somebody else. It's happened where I've been on the perimeter, somebody sees me and they call me in, and I explicitly get permission to go in. That's a big thing is, don't go anywhere you're not supposed to without permission, because you can get in trouble. You will get in trouble. And even if even if somebody doesn't go after you legally, it's still the position of somebody having to worry about you putting your safety in jeopardy, or just taking the focus away from the job to you. That's a really big no-no.
Yeah, and police most of the time will let you go inside the perimeter. If you walk up and you check with them, be like, hey, I'm media. Is it cool if I go up? They'll say, hang on, let me check with IC, see if it's cool.
You don't have a right, but you might get permission. Yeah.
Because as soon as PD sets up a perimeter, that becomes a closed incident. That's not you see an accident on the freeway and you're driving by it. You're right up next to that incident. No, that's a closed incident now. And yes, it may be public sidewalk and whatnot, but you're inside their perimeter. That means they're responsible for you.
Yep.
So you always check in, be like, how's it going, officer? My name's so-and-so with such and such media or such and such photography. Here's my, I'm media. I'm here to cover the incident. Is it okay if I go up? If they say yes right away, awesome, go up.
Yeah.
Make sure you stay out of the way. If they say, hang on, let me check with my sergeant, or hang on, let me check with the IC. Then you stand there and you wait. If they say no, that means no.
Yeah.
Don't go ask another officer. Don't try to sneak past them. That means no.
Hang out by the cones, hang out by their car, hang there. And I know we're going to talk about this later when we go into like safety gear and equipment, but this is another one of those things along the lines of us saying you don't have to be on a scene. When we preach being identifiable and being branded, if you look the part when you roll up to a scene, that's going to help a lot, because there have been times where there is a perimeter established and like BPD or any other police department, I don't want to dime them out, but like there are officers physically protecting a perimeter at that point, and I roll up, I've got my vest on, I've got my equipment, I was on a working structure fire recently, so I had my helmet on, I look the part, they waved me right in, one of the officers said, hey, incident command's right over down there on that corner, do your thing. So I was able to get permission and I had the privilege of going inside the perimeter. It helps when you look the part, have your ID if you have a credentials or anything like that, even just business cards, and branded. Like we always say when we're on incidents, we have our vests, we have photographer vests, they're marked with our logos, that kind of thing. And as well as our helmets and stuff, which we'll talk about gear later, but right now we're kind of talking the theory of safety.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is if I'm gonna dive them out real quick. Caldwell Fire. I was new to Idaho. I wanted to start doing what I had done in California. I reached out to them. They were my local department. I was like, hey, I'm a photographer. I would like to start photographing incidents in your area. What would you expect of me to have as safety equipment? And they said, here's what we expect of you. Let us know what your license plate number is. Like some departments don't actually care. They'll say, we don't care. Stay out of the way. But other departments, if you reach out to them and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Do you have any requirements for me safety wise? They will let you know if there are any rules, what those rules are.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where you will get more experience and more comfort. And I say comfort weirdly because comfort is also, it goes hand in hand with complacency, and complacency can get you hurt, but you will pick up more. Yeah, you will get a better feel for scenes. And again, I just want to put the disclaimer out here too. We are not the end all be all experts of this. We are just purely talking about our experiences and our personal anecdotes when it comes to this stuff.
And what works for us might not work for you in your state or your city.
The other thing is departments work differently. So your fire department might be a little different than the ones that we've worked with, or your police might work differently. They might be way more uptight. They might not. You might live in an area that has press protection and press rights where you can become a registered press member, or you might not. We don't have anything in Idaho yet, which is unfortunate. There are no programs or anything for press and media credentials or registration. But yeah, it's just
Max
purely our anecdotes.
Max and I have done a good job building relationships with the local departments.
Yeah, I'm gonna say if you are just starting out, relationships are arguably the most important tool that you have. I think relationships are super, super important.
The biggest thing I will tell someone, something I was told, your first impression will follow you, because this is a very small community.
Yep.
Of photographers, first responders, regardless of what realm it is. It's a very small community. We all know each other or know of each other.
Yeah.
So your reputation will follow you.
Yeah.
Now, I made a mistake early on in my career, and that did follow me for a while. And I ended up getting that cleared and was able to apologize for that dumbass mistake. I won't go into it because I really don't remember it. But I know it was a dumbass mistake. And I had to apologize and move forward. Now, that did follow me for a couple of years. And it does follow you. But we have been both fortunate to have good relationships with each other in our two entities, and there were good relationships with the departments that we work with.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to say this because I know everybody when they're just starting out, sometimes they don't have the money to get equipment. Sometimes they don't have the know-how of the art form that is photography and videography, because let's be real, it is an art form.
Yeah.
Just because you have a cell phone and a want to be in this industry does not mean you are a fire photographer. Now, I understand that sounds kind of dickish.
We're not that's not a gatekeeping statement either.
I think I am a dick, but I'm not trying to be a dick.
I get so pissed off at people that gatekeep, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're purely, we're not trying to gatekeep, tell you that you can't do it. Anyway.
And Max will tell you, ask Max about me. Like, I am an asshole.
It's true.
But I'm an asshole for the right reasons. Sometimes. Depends on if I've had food or not. If I've had food, I'm an asshole for no reason.
Can you call somebody a lovable asshole?
I mean, I'm half Scottish, half Irish. I think we're all lovable assholes.
I mean,
he still loves me apparently, but
fucking, I put up with it this far.
I know. But the fact of the matter is, we all start somewhere. We all start with little cameras or our phones. But remember your place. Like, if you don't have the know-how or the equipment or whatever, just don't go near the incident. Like, you can go back on the sidewalk with the rest of the public and shoot on your phone. That's completely fine. Here's the fact, guys. And we are all photographers, regardless of whether you take it on a cell phone, on a camera, doesn't matter. We all love photography. We all love emergency services, but the difference between being a photographer and emergency services photographer is having the know-how to be safe, the relationships to allow you to go on to these active incidents. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to say this without being an asshole.
Yeah, because we're not trying to like gatekeep and tell you that you can't do it. We just want you to do it the right way and the safe way. So again, pardon us for like trying to kind of tiptoe around this subject,
Because we
but
want you to get into this industry. We want you to grow
yeah,
the love for this profession.
it's
All
super
you to do is
fun.
safe.
Like at the end of the day, it's a blast. It's super fun. I love
I
doing
mean,
what I do.
Max, for example, tell the listeners what we said on the truck on the way home on the last day of Mayhem.
Oh, like good Lord. Like quite literally, I'm pretty sure every other sentence was like, what was this weekend? This was the best thing that I've ever done. Like
Like
there
I've been a photographer for 4 years. I'd
yeah.
never done anything like that.
We got in the truck, we're driving back to Boise, and for the first couple minutes was like silent. And then it was just like one of us was just like, what just happened? Like, because it was the best feeling. It was one of the most challenging weekends I think I've ever had as, as a creative. But God, I hate saying that. That sounds so stupid. Um, but it really pushed my limits as a photographer. But at the same time, it was so rewarding. The connections with people, the experiences, the cool factor of it. But I just the whole time we're going, what what was that? What happened? This was the best weekend ever. So it's fun. Don't get us wrong. It's a lot
Like,
of
and
fun.
it's an expensive hobby. I mean, I could probably tell you, and granted, not everybody has the monetary resources that somebody else have.
Yeah.
I could probably tell you, just sitting next to me on the floor in my office, there's probably $35,000 in camera gear.
Yeah. It's expensive,
It's an
but
expensive hobby.
you don't need that.
You don't
Um,
need that much equipment. I do this as a side gig to
yeah.
my normal school stuff. So I have to have a wide variety of equipment. Max does primarily video, so he doesn't need all the lenses that I carry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You might need one camera with one lens to do what you do.
Yeah. Everybody starts from somewhere, which is the other thing. You have to start from somewhere, but also like acknowledge the fact that you're starting out, I think is a good way to put it.
And
Uh
find a mentor in the profession.
yes.
Like Max and I are happy to mentor people. I had a really great mentor in Mike Fila. He probably wouldn't acknowledge that he was my mentor because I never asked him to be, but
Yeah.
he taught me a lot about how to be safe and how to do this job right and how to build relationships and how to make sure you're identified and operate and understand fires,
Yeah.
understand wildland incidents, because that's a lot of where I ran into him was on these wildland fires in San Diego.
Yeah.
Like understand where the fire is, what it's doing, understand where IC is and where your escape routes are. Like understanding these things. Like Max didn't take an ICS class before he met me, and I told him to, and he's taking
Yeah.
one. Like you don't have to have these things that we do, but it's really awesome to have them because then you can kind of understand, okay, where can I be? Where should I not be? That
Yeah.
way, no firefighter or police officer ever has to worry about you being in the wrong spot.
Yep. Because like we were saying, your reputation is incredibly powerful. So for somebody to look at you, recognize who you are, and obviously then get the idea of who you are, that is super important because obviously if your reputation is good and it's positive, people are going to know that you're there. They're going to trust that, you're not going to do anything stupid. That's super, super important. Um, yeah, just that reputation is really good. When you're starting out and you don't know fire stuff at all, like if you see the culture and that kind of thing and you want to think, I want to be a photographer or a fire photographer, um, I'm gonna say like if you don't know the emergency services, so you're not already a first responder or something, go on ride-alongs. I will say it's much easier to do ride-alongs and to do like experiences with departments when you're not doing the media component. So take the camera out of the picture. If you are brand new, like you're a photographer, maybe like you came from my background of media in general, but you want to learn the emergency side, take the camera out of the picture and go on some ride-alongs. Spend a
And tell
shift
the
with a
crew
crew.
when you
Yeah,
go to the ride along, say, hey, trying to become an emergency services photographer. I want to photograph you guys
yeah.
in action. Like that's what I want to do. And can you guys give me some tips from your side?
Yeah.
Answer any questions. And most of the time, most firefighters will tell you, we've never been photographed.
Yeah.
Like
It's still a relatively new thing. At least here, I think is it here being like the Boise
pretty much
area.
outside of New York City, Boston, Florida, those types of areas,
LA.
California, LA, San Francisco, Sacramento, you're not going to see a lot of emergency photographers. And there are a bunch of us scattered around the country.
Yeah.
Max being in Boise, hopefully me being back in Boise once I finish academy. I'm in Colorado. There's West Coast in Washington. There's Pacific Northwest. He's in Oregon, I think.
Yeah.
Coastal Code 3 is in Washington. Mike is in California. The on-scene TV guys. And you have to learn to differentiate between a stringer and an emergency services photographer. Because a stringer, that is kind of the last point we'll hit before we go into our gear. Obviously, I don't have all my gear with me, but I have my helmets over there, and we'll show them to you guys. The biggest thing is to differentiate between a stringer and an emergency services photographer. Stringers, that's what they do for a living. They are news gatherers.
That is the important distinction between a stringer and specifically a photographer is news gathering. So all you're doing is shooting and selling to the news.
They're writing stories.
Yeah.
They are reporters, essentially.
Yeah, they are freelance reporters. Or are you a photographer?
The biggest thing is it's a common courtesy. We're all members of the media. Don't get in their shots. Don't get in their way.
Yeah.
Like, because at the end of the day, that's their livelihood. That's like they won't get in our shots if we don't get in theirs. They won't get in our way if we don't get in theirs. That's a common courtesy. If you see one, walk up, introduce yourself. Like, hey man, what's up? Like, how you doing? If I'm in your shot, let me know. I'll move. Like, it's a common courtesy thing. So that's how we build that rapport with the different sides of the emergency services media world.
Yeah. So before we go into gear, just again, know the fire ground and know the emergency world. So if you are already a first responder, you already have that part down. It's just a matter of getting out there and shooting. If you are a photographer turning emergency photographer, go on ride-alongs. Don't worry about bringing the camera. Don't worry about shooting anything. Just purely be there to witness and observe, because there is a lot of like breaking those first times to where you are a little more comfortable with being around an emergency situation. Get comfortable with scenes, what to do, what incident command looks like, how to navigate a developing scene. Just get out there.
And get stuff like the IRPG. This one's out of date. This one's the 2018 model. I have the 2022 edition for my stuff, but this is the 2018 model. On the back of it, it's got your 10 watchouts it's your 10 standard firefighting orders and your 18 watchout situations. This is for wildland stuff. It even has stuff for car accidents and fires. Get one of these. Read it. Yeah. They're like $9 on Amazon. Take a FEMA ICS course. They're free and they're online. Absorb that information, because I can tell you, I'm 5 years into this and I am still learning things. Yep. I'm learning things from Max, who hasn't been in the industry as long as I have. I'm learning things from guys who have 10 times the amount of experience. I'm learning from firefighters, paramedics. You're always learning something new.
Yep.
So always make sure that you learn, like read this stuff, make the introductions, write letters to your departments, go into their admin offices and introduce yourself. Ask to speak to the PIO. If they don't have time to meet with you, just say, okay, here's my contact information. Please have them contact me. I would like to introduce myself formally as a member of the media. Like, do things that can make you seem, and do things that will build habits that make you a professional.
Yes.
Because professional, I would say the biggest proponent of this episode, besides the safety and not getting hurt and not putting first responders in harm's way to deal with you, be professional. Act professional. You may see us laughing with first responders on scenes. That's because they're guys we know.
Yeah.
And you will get there. It took me a long time to get there.
Yeah.
But just understand that until you make those relationships and those friendships, it is a professional environment. It still is even after you have those, but be professional.
Yeah. Always, the job always comes first.
Always address ranked officers as chief, captain, lieutenant. Like, always say hello.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Like if they are a ranked officer, they earned that position. Police officers always address them as officer or sergeant or corporal or like because
Whatever
they
their
earned
rank
that
is, they
position.
earned that. Yeah. It
So the fact of the matter is just be professional. Like, yeah, you can laugh and joke and say hello and whatnot, but be professional. Because on a scene, that is work. You may know them outside. They may even invite you to dinner at the station at some point. At that point is when you can speak to them, but you still address them as their rank, especially at incidents, because that is work. That is where the public can see them. The public sees you. You are all in the public eye.
Yeah, that's really important too, is you might know these guys really well, but when there's a house on fire, and that's the other thing I think and I've noticed this as well. This is something that I've personally experienced. When you are on a scene, you have to remember that it's, it might be exciting, it's Jobtown, cool, whatever. This is really special. This is really important. But if a house is on fire, that's somebody's home. That's their livelihood. That's their family's history. That is their life that is on fire and burning. You need to be a professional. It's serious. I a couple days ago was on a fatal drowning up in Lucky Peak. Super, super sad story. I
I
was there to
forgot you were
cover
on that.
yeah. Uh, I was there to cover the incident. It's exciting being the only photographer out there, getting the catching the action when it happens. I can relate to that. Brian can relate to that. We still get that adrenaline, when we're first in as a photographer and we are catching action, but you have to disconnect yourself from that and realize, like when I was at that drowning, I got in, I'm catching the action. They're still out there doing work. This is a really good shot for me. It's a really good story. But then you look and you see an entire family grieving because they just lost their father, their husband, their son, their brother, whatever that
Like,
may be.
do not approach victims.
Yeah, oh God, yeah,
There are
yeah,
times where you can say to the chief that's going to talk to them, like, hey, if they need photos for insurance purposes, please give them my card. I'm happy to contact. They can more than welcome to contact me. But give it to the person that's going to go talk to them. Don't you go walk up and say, hey, I'm a photographer. Here's my card if you want photos for insurance. Don't do
you
that.
just
I
come
made that
across
mistake.
as like a big fucking dick when you do
That
that.
was the fatal mistake that I made. I went and talked to a victim. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Respect their time. Like I was at a fire that actually got me on the cover of a magazine. It was a working structure fire in Escondido, California. Shout out to my Escondido Fire Boys. I walked up because the house had been on fire the night before. Now a second section of the house was on fire, and the homeowner saw me, saw the cameras. He was like, "Hey, are you with the media?" I was like, "Yes, sir, I am. Here's my press pass." He said, "Hey," he was obviously in tears because that was his whole house, and he said, "Hey, please do me a favor. Please don't go down the driveway. You guys can be on the driveway. Also, please don't record myself or my family." I said, "Sir, I will make sure I inform all other media persons that are coming that you wish not be spoken to and you wish not to be recorded. If you have any questions for anything that's going on media wise, please come speak to me. I am happy to address any questions you may have." And he said, "Okay, thank you." I shook his hand. He went back to his family. So, and when he said no recording my family, that means no. It means don't try to sneak a shot. That means no.
Yeah.
Even when the news showed up, I was like, "Hey guys, homeowner's up there." He said, "Please don't record him or his family. Please don't go all the way down the driveway. Just kind of feeding you information. I was here first." That's what he said. Respect the victims and their grief process, regardless of whether it's they lost a car or they've lost a family member. That's still grief. And you're going to see things that you're not going to like. You're going to see people that are hurt. You're going to see people that die. You're going to see people, pets that die. You're going to see fucked up cars that don't make sense how the driver's alive.
No.
Now, that a big part of that, before we go into gear, and this is going to be the last thing I say about all this, make sure your mental health is taken care of. If you do this and you are having problems and you're struggling, go seek help. Talk to somebody in the industry. Talk to a professional. Like, please don't try to eat that because you think you're tough. You can burr. Even first responders, I go get therapy for stuff, for counseling, for things I see on the job. I do. And that may make me look weak. don't actually care because my brain is, I mean, I'm fucking nuts, but that's besides the point. I am tuned up to the fact of I've accepted the things I cannot control.
Yeah.
And please, if you have questions about stuff, about resources, about where to take classes for ICS or how to handle being on an incident where there's victims, please reach out to Max or myself, and we are happy to give you some advice. Like, we are more than happy to talk to you about stuff that we've seen in our years of experience.
Yeah. Okay. Now for the fun stuff, right?
Gear. So, photography gear wise, I shoot with the Canon EOS R5 and the Canon EOS R6, as well as various GoPro models and some DJI Phantom drones. And mostly Sigma lenses. Sigma is good shit.
Sigma's pretty good. I shoot Sony. For whatever reason, find what works for you. It could be you like features, you like just certain things about a brand, or it could be a cost thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you shoot on.
Yes, it does.
But for reference, he's a Canon boy. I shoot Sony. Doesn't matter as long as you don't shoot Nikon.
Hey, Ragsdale shoots Nikon though.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, Richard.
Everybody likes to shit on Nikon. But yeah,
so really shouldn't be shooting his cool pics.
God damn. Anyway, yeah, so I shoot on Sony because I do video. I have a built out rig. But I'm gonna say that is what we will talk about least. Because I know we've touched on gear before on one of our earlier episodes. We've done the gear episode talking about not steroids gear, but equipment gear. Talking about how we shoot stuff, but we want to talk specifically about safety components, which I will just go out and start this by saying I think the most important piece of gear you can have is a safety vest. Well, your brain first, but we already talked about that a little bit.
I don't have one of those, so yeah. I'm fucked.
For you audio listeners, Brian is pointing at his head. A thick skull, that's the important part. No, get yourself a vest. Unfortunately, all of my stuff is loaded up in my car. So I don't have any examples, but
I can go grab one of the event photographer vests off my
I think it's fine. Start, if you want to start with a traffic vest or something, it keeps you visible, which I think is one of the most important things. So whether it is a traffic vest, whether it is something like a Vest Guy vest, he's a specific vendor that makes really, really good vests. Yeah, you look like that little
have a little friend for your dash, like me.
Again, for your audio listeners, he's holding up a little custom 760 pop vinyl.
Yeah, this guy made this for me when I donated to his wife's breast cancer GoFundMe. He was super cool.
Yeah,
I call him little 760, little bastard.
Anyway, be visible on a scene. I think that is one of the most important things because, like we said before, the most important thing is that people don't have to worry about you on a scene. The last thing I want is for Incident Command to be having to stress about me.
They're going to, because you're not normally there.
Yeah,
but
they will. But the less stupidity that you can cause, and part of that is being visible, so that I am super easy to find, no matter what. We'll have a vest on or something 9 times out of 10.
Because we don't carry radios we do. I do, at least.
Yeah, we have radios. Yeah, but we're not on their channels to be able to talk to them like that. So be visible. For those that have seen me in my vest, I have a traffic vest that is fully branded with my stuff. So not only am I visible just in the sense that I have a vest on, you also know who I am because it's got the company logo and it's got my information on there as well.
And for those of you that have seen the Mayhem photos, you've seen both of us in our vest, which they're both mine.
Yeah.
But in our Vest Guy vest, clearly it says fire photographer. It says who we are.
Yeah.
It's clearly like we're not firefighters. We may have helmets on, but we're not firefighters.
Yeah. That's also an important distinction so that nobody confuses you with a crew, which could be an issue. We don't need to explain why. It could be an issue. Yeah. Be identifiable. So even when I don't have a vest on, which the vest is kind of for like fire stuff,
or traffic incidents.
Yeah, traffic. And anytime you are in the roadway, put a damn vest on.
Or here's a thought: get a long lens. Don't be in the roadway.
Yeah. The only time I will ever be in a road is if, like, in the roadway, is if it is shut down and it's controlled and it's not live traffic.
Or you will be on the sidewalk.
Yeah, the sidewalk is your friend.
Don't shoot on freeways either, kids.
Yeah, don't shoot freeways. We've talked about
Or
this
if you
before.
can shoot freeways, be up on a hill above the freeway, on a bridge.
Yeah.
Just don't be down on the freeway. I know we sound like assholes saying this, but it's just common sense.
It is, yeah, you don't want to be pavement meat.
Don't become a patient at an incident you're trying to cover.
Okay, so Scott Lane, professional stringer.
Love Scott.
Yeah, he's been in the industry for a really long time. This quote from him really sticks with me, and I think it's really important. He said, I want to shoot the scene. I want to shoot the story. I don't want to be part of it. I think that is really, really, really important. And if you have one takeaway from this entire episode, I think a lot of what we talked about boils down to that. You don't want to be a part of what is happening.
And you don't want to be the reason a part of the story happens.
Yes.
A firefighter gets hurt trying to save your ass. A police officer has to arrest you. Blah, blabbity fucking blah.
Yeah.
We could go over that ad nauseum.
There's so many ways that you could fuck up a scene. So
just don't do it.
Yeah, stay out of the way. So I shoot a lot of law enforcement content as well outside of the fire. That's a little different. I usually will not have like a fully marked vest on, but anytime I'm out, when I'm staged and I'm specifically, my goal is to shoot content for that night, I obviously have a lot of my gear with me, but I have a lanyard that has my identification and business cards, and it's a go-to identifier that is always around my neck.
Okay, so we're back. Take a couple quick commercial breaks for safety. So now the last part, we talked about safety vests, we talked about camera equipment, we talked about scene knowledge. Now,
visible
headgear. Headgear is really important for some departments, like departments that we've worked with. They've requested us particularly to have headgear.
I'm going to say it's not an absolute requirement. You can totally be like stringers usually won't have this stuff. The only reason that I have gotten one, and it's pretty much the same reasons for you as well. We've been places where departments have asked us. So we've done work with departments and they have said, can you have a helmet? Or like with Fools, it's extra protection for us and we get closer to the action.
And it's less liability for the Fools if we're up in the towers with helmets on.
And that's pretty much our rule of thumb too, is anytime we're around a charged hose line, which was the rule at when I was at the Boise Symposium, their rule was anytime you're around a charged hose line, around ladders, or you're in a training structure, you need to have a helmet on, which is pretty much the same rules for firefighters. So just follow that.
Max and I both wear the Bullard UST6. Max wanted to copy me.
It's a good helmet. It's honestly a really good helmet. It's lightweight. It's pretty inexpensive. Mine is in my car. Otherwise, I would get it.
We have the mine's a little customed out because I've been doing this a little bit longer. Max also has the Berks on his. Mine has the Firecam 4K on it. Custom shield from Taylor's Tins.
Shout out Taylor.
Identifies me. Fun little card says I just want to do hood rat shit with my friends. My last name, which yes, I know it looks like Boner.
You haven't realized by now.
On the back, I have a helmet light. So if I'm in a dark tower and I need light for my camera, I can do that. On the bottom, just a couple of stickers for myself. Fool's helmets, other way. Fool's helmet sticker. Shout out Gino, who just fucking on the podcast, and a custom leather strap because my big ass head. From Fire Iron Ranch, Sean down in Lakeside, California. If you guys need anything, look him up on Instagram. Fire Iron Ranch, great leather products. Great custom belts, not necessarily firefighting shit, but he made this one for me. It is awesome. It's held up great. But it's a great helmet. Ratchet adjustable system.
It's real super comfortable.
Max knows this has been christened by actual fire.
Yep.
If you see pictures of me in an SCBA and turnouts, I'm wearing this helmet. I will show you guys the helmet that I started out with in California. If you are on a wildland incident, I'm going to say this: wear a helmet.
Yes. Yeah, wildland stuff, that is the one thing where I'm going to say, like, obviously, as a photographer for, like, a structure fire or a traffic collision, anything like that, you don't need to be, like, full kitted out and turnouts and stuff looking like a firefighter. Wildland incidents, I think, is the only time when it's safe to say the best kit for a photographer is looking exactly like a wildland firefighter. So
Just have on your helmet, it says
yeah,
photographer clearly.
yeah.
And
Again,
you're gonna have a
you
camera,
don't
so
want to
they're
be
gonna be
mistaken. So be branded, be badged. Have your helmet, wildland coat, wildland pants, good boots, have a pack, all that good stuff.
Where's your pack at? Is it in your car?
Yeah, it's in my car. I have all
Damn
my
it,
stuff
Max.
just staged ready to go.
So my helmet that I have right here is a Phoenix First Due. This is my retired lid. She saw me through California and my start in Idaho. You can kind of see on the top, she's a little banged up. On the other side, it's not on here because I gave it as a gift to a friend who really helped me out. This was made by Ed at Fan for Life Decals. This was done by Fast Signs, I think. As you can see, it's a little beat up on both sides. Clearly got the ESS goggles. Again, clearly my last name is on the helmet. Bottom with some stickers because I'm just an asshole.
Yeah.
Lid pad, J5 fire lids. If you have a big head or want something that's a little more comfortable for your pad, J5 does some great lids. He's a fireman and he does some fantastic work. Again, also customized shield, my company number, photographer, my last name. These Phoenix ones are great. They're super lightweight.
Yeah.
They are really, really they're really comfortable. They look like salad bowls, but they're comfortable.
Obviously, coming from California, you fit in a little bit more with those compared to the standard, the
Traditional
standard style helmets.
So having a helmet, I wish my Wildland helmet wasn't in my truck, but I could go get it. I don't need to.
No.
The biggest thing with wearing a helmet on a Wildland, especially if there's air tankers working in the area, I have been dropped on. That shit hurts.
Which also, don't be the goober that tries to get dropped on.
People do it.
Don't do that. It's like, just don't. If it happens, it happens, but don't like run
It's
under.
not a badge of honor to get dropped on. Like it stings, it's sticky, and it hurts.
It covers all of your shit if you are getting like retardant dropped on you.
Max will tell you
just water.
When he first met me, one of my lenses from 2 years ago was still fucking pink.
Yep. Yeah, just don't. Wildland, I think like it also, this is coming from me. I have not shot a large wildland incident. I've shot small like wildland urban interface stuff. That is more what I would consider a city grass fire than a true wildland fire. And the reason for that was I did not have the equipment and the knowledge to feel comfortable doing it yet. I mean, that's something that we've talked about a lot. I am slowly getting that equipment. Brian, huge shout out for that pack. I have a wildland helmet and coat on the way soon. So it's just like pick up the stuff. Obviously, I am not going to go
my
do
pack's
it.
right here. I'll grab it.
Yeah, while he's doing that. This is something we've talked about before, but I think wildland fires are the sketchiest and most dangerous thing to be on, purely because they're just so volatile. You just watch out for that. I would not recommend shooting a wildfire unless you have a lot of experience on
Your
emergency.
S110, S130, S190.
Yep.
Get those.
Yeah, those are certifications, by the way. And like we said before, if you have questions or anything, shoot us a DM. We would love to talk about it.
So my pack looks a little different because I'm an EMT. So I usually have a pretty large med pouch, which you'll see flagged with the big med thing on there.
Big med.
Mine is a Mystery Ranch.
Shout out Mystery Ranch.
I just bought this, so it's not outfitted yet. To replace my other one, which I sent to Max. It's got a hydration bladder in there. This is the big med pouch up top. Big below with the fire shelter. Other stuff I might need on the line. I don't tend to get more than a couple 100 yards from my truck. But I would suggest if you are going on a wildland incident, understand what's going on. The IRPG is required for all wildland incidents. Always have it on you.
It's just good information to have.
And the watch outs that are on here for wildland incidents, memorize it. Max, pick a number. Well, I haven't memorized all of them. I know what, off the top of my head, I know what 11 is.
But yeah, anyway, it's good information to know. And not just good information, it is critical, I think, when you are shooting that kind of stuff. Wildland is definitely the sketchiest thing to shoot as a photographer, I think it's safe to say.
Super sketchy.
Super sketchy. But yeah, that's kind of the final frontier when it comes to being an emergency photographer. Obviously, if you're staying in city just doing stuff, that's a whole different game. But I think that pretty much covers all of our safety stuff. The biggest things is just don't be a goober. Like, don't put
Uber
yourself in a yeah,
Patrol.
got to be on that goober patrol. Just yeah, don't be an idiot. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get somebody else hurt, or the focus of the incident is gonna shift to you because you're being an idiot. Is really the safest way to do it. Like I said, I think my best advice for somebody who is getting into the emergency world is go on ride-alongs, visit your stations, talk with people that have done it before, talk with people who are first responders, talk with us. Obviously, Brian and I, shoot us DMs or anything. We would love to help you out, but just get experience on emergency scenes because that is the most dynamic.
If you're on an emergency and you do something stupid and you get yelled at, take it with grace. It's not personal.
Yeah, don't take it personal. It's not like a personal attack. Usually it's because you're going to get yourself hurt or it's a liability or it's just not something smart didn't. Something
you get yelled at for doing something stupid. I even told Gino, like Gino knows me well enough. He knows I have certs. He knows I know what I'm doing. My Gino, tell the Chiefs. And he's told everybody this. If you see Brian doing something stupid, you yell at him.
Yeah. That happens between
the fact of the matter
too.
Is we're in the camera. Sometimes we don't see what's going on around us.
Yeah.
But we need to try to do that.
That's actually good. Unfortunately, we only brought it up now, but when you're on a scene, don't live through the camera. Be very, very observant, head on a swivel. Don't be stuck in your viewfinder the whole time.
You can be in your viewfinder. Like, we're not saying get in there,
but don't live in there on a scene. Be around. So I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, like we've been saying all episode, if you have questions on anything, shoot us a DM. Because we're here to help. We want to share the knowledge. Whether you are first responder wanting to get into photography, if you're a photographer wanting to get into what the hell is this? He's opened up a whiteboard. I don't even know what this is going to do to the recording, but we shall see. He's drawing a penis. He's writing the word penis. To our audio listeners, this is what you're missing out on the video. So Spotify video and on YouTube. It's what you're missing out on.
This is what happens when Max leaves me unattended.
We've been in this Zoom call for fucking 4 hours. We've recorded an entire podcast in the middle of this one, which, if you have noticed, my background has considerably changed since the start of this episode. We've recorded an entire podcast episode in between this one. That's the Gino Fools or Mayhem 24.
You know what you should do?
Dude, I'm fucking sleep.
What? You should put every time we have to pause for something, you should go, we'll be right back after this brief commercial.
I'm just gonna cut it and fuck you. You're not gonna notice anything.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. I'm not. Well, I shouldn't say that to our wonderful viewers and listeners.
Not you, listeners. I'm telling Max to go fuck himself. And another thing, once you make relationships, if they're not making fun of you at some point, they don't like you.
Yeah.
If you watch Max and I on a scene, or if you come to Mayhem and you watch us making fun of each other, telling each other we're fucking idiots,
or any of the AOTC cadre, or any of our first responder buddies. Jason makes still have that whole interview. I have that whole interview.
Or hey, my helmet band is full. Let me make sure I still have a fucking ear.
Jesus Christ. We need to end this episode.
Shameless plug. Watch the Mayhem video. Max did a fantastic job editing that. I shot a little bit of the video, but I shot more photo. Max did a fantastic job editing that. And if it doesn't push you over the edge to come to Mayhem, let us tell you, come to fucking Mayhem.
Or if you don't want to go to Mayhem, you just want to get your rocks off watching some cool fire shit, youtube.com/1076media. That's all I got to say.
That's all we got. This is the Frames and Flames podcast. I'm Brian. That's Max. Thank you for listening. We're
Oh
assholes,
my
and we
god.
love you all, people.
This episode took such a turn. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. The Frames and Flames podcast is produced in collaboration between 1076 Media and 760 Fire Photo. For more information on the show and to find out about future guests and episodes, please check out our social media at TEN76 Media and 760 Fire Photo. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.